In this video, I'm going to share the fast track for golf coaches to be able to transition online and make 30K per month in an online setting. This is for any coach that is successful already in person. So you have a book of business, you deliver results for your clients already in an in-person setting, and you're probably already started online. You're on different platforms that allow for you to work with clients in that setting, whether it's Skillet, Sneed, V1, OnForm, Coach Now, Golf Live app, whatever app you are using. You desire to do more online lessons because you know that's the opportunity, allows for you to have more freedom, and ultimately to make more money without having to just trade time for money in person and split that money that you are ultimately charging with the course, the club, the facility that you are using for these in-person lessons. So you desire to have more clients, but in a more leveraged way. That's what this video is going to cover. So let's go ahead and dive in. This is for, like I said, any coach that really wants to get out of the in-person grind of lessons and being on the driving range or on the lesson tee all day, and that being the only way that you can add revenue to your current business. This is important for golf coaches to understand because currently the way that this is set up is that the only way for you to make more money is to work longer, harder, and ultimately spend more of your time actually physically at the golf course, which we all love the golf course, but ideally we would like to be able to play a little bit more golf instead of just sitting there in lessons hour after hour for 6, 8, 12 hours a day in order to try to make money. And this allows for a very linear scale. And it always has a cap because you're limited on the number of hours that you can physically put into in-person lessons. There's only so many hours in a day. There's only so many hours of daylight that you can actually physically do this. And even if you work in a facility that allows for you to have more hours that are outside of daylight time, it's really exhausting to try to go in this route of making money for the rest of your career and the rest of your life. At some point, you do want to be able to transition out of just purely trading time for money, have a different way of making revenue and income for you and your family, and step back, right? Take a break, take a vacation, and not have that impact or affect the money that you ultimately bring home. And there's a much better way, which if you're watching this video, you're probably aware of. It is transitioning into an online model. And you don't have to fully make that transition. And I'm going to talk about how this isn't a black or white transition. Honestly, it's probably better that you still do in-person lessons. You just charge a premium for those in-person sessions. You only work with the clients that you want to work with. And you get to pick and choose the number of hours and the number of clients that you see in an in-person basis. So there's a much better way, and it's really the only way to get to 30, 50K, or 100K per month, and that is to detach your time from money and create more leverage inside of your business. So if the only way that you have to make money right now is to trade your time physically there with somebody else, then there is always a cap. And your cap can go up only in charging more money, and that will then inherently reduce the number of people who are able to invest in you as their coach, at least on a regular basis, right? The more expensive your lessons become in person, the less frequent that a client will actually come to see you in person. And then they will ultimately probably get worse results because of that as well. So there's a few myths that most golf coaches believe, and that is commonly taught in the space, that keep coaches from being successful long-term and transitioning properly into more leverage ways of creating revenue and income for their business. Myth number one is that more in-person lessons equals more money. And while it is true in the short term, it won't be true in the long term because your income is going to be capped by the hours that you can work, and you're going to get physically exhausted. And you also will only be able to work with local clients, so people that are in your area who are willing to spend the amount that you charge to come see you in person. While you can make a great living doing this, the average golf coach only makes 50 or 60K a year. And so you can expand that to potentially 6 figures. I know some in more expensive, affluent areas of the country that are making 200, 250K just doing in-person lessons, which is amazing. But what happens when you get sick, you want to travel, or you just desire to step away from the lesson tee? That's the constraint. That's the issue, is that right in the short term, more lessons does equal more money. In the long term, that becomes the downside to doing only in-person lessons. So myth number two, Online coaching doesn't work to facilitate the results or the experience for our clients as well as in person. And while I don't think that online at its current state in the way that we do it will fully replace in person, I think you should still do in person and have some level of connection with human beings face to face. The online honestly can facilitate just as good, if not an even better experience. And here's why. Technology enhances the learning of people online. It also is a convenience thing. So there's accessibility that boosts the consistency of the practice of the student. So in person, if you see them once a week for an hour, right? And most coaches will have some communication outside of that. But if you have a big book of business and you're doing hundreds of lessons every month and not all of them are repeat customers or clients, then you can't have this super high level of interaction and engagement outside of the physical lessons, right? Like if you had all 100 of those students randomly texting you and asking you advice and you're not charging for that, then you're going to be even more overworked and not paid accordingly. So online, it does have advantages in the way that people can improve and actually get better. The advantages are in the convenience of it, the consistency of communication, the ability for them to get consistent feedback from their coach, you, on a more regular basis, and have access to you. I don't want it to be 24/7, but more than the 1 hour a week that they physically come to see you in person, right? And this aligns with what the consumer wants as well. We are in a convenience age with the rise of Amazon, Uber Eats, DoorDash, grocery delivery. Everything is going towards convenience. We don't want to have to drive 15 to 20 minutes for an hour-long lesson to drive 15 to 20 minutes home to pay a premium for that experience. We will do that, and there is a place for that. But in between, we want the ability to communicate with our coach and get feedback and regular guidance and regular communication, regular touch points that allow for us to actually improve, because the space between lessons is when the learning actually happens, because that's the practice, the facilitation, the going through the steps that ingrain the patterns, that ingrain the behaviors, that ingrain the stuff that then can be taken to the course and actually play better golf. Myth number 3 is that you need a huge following to succeed online, which is just not the case, right? I see plenty of coaches with really big audiences that don't make as much money as you would want. And I also see coaches with smaller audiences who do great for themselves online. And it's not about the size of the audience, it's the quality of the audience, right? Did you gain that audience in the correct way? Did you build them on the premise of you being a coach who offers this solution, who sells coaching, and you regularly make calls to actions and opportunities for them to take the next step? The reality is that when the quality is high, the quantity does not need to be as high. So that's what I focus on with my coaches. We really want a niche audience that will generate revenue, that is interested in working with you and wants to buy the things that you're ultimately selling. And also, we can facilitate a great experience and get lots of word of mouth. Once you get your first client, it snowballs from there, because then you just start to tell people about what you did with this first client in a completely virtual or online setting, how much they improved, how much they liked it, and then that will then get you your next client. Right? And we do that through broadcasting that on social media, but then also just asking the client for a referral, or if they know anybody else that might be interested in doing the exact same thing that they just did. So we want to avoid these 3 myths and realize that there's a lot of opportunity online, and it's not in the traditional ways that you potentially have been taught. So how do we make this happen? What is the scale blueprint, and how do we go from in person to online, and ultimately getting clients and being successful in building a 30K plus per month revenue stream completely through virtual, digital, online lessons and students? The first thing in making the transition is understanding that you want to start with your existing clients. So most coaches, I tell them to start with just putting together a hybrid experience. So if people are already coming to see you in person, the ones who are not as consistent, they don't come as frequently as you would like them to come to actually improve, to get to the outcome that they desire, then we simply offer them a hybrid offer that gives them an experience that kind of meets them in the middle. Hey, you're coming once a month. That is likely not enough to improve and get to where you want to go. So I have this new offer this new plan that you can come once a month, and you're also going to get a practice plan, communication on a regular basis, the ability to submit video swing analysis every single week, the ability to reach out with me before you go play your next round, just more support in the in-between moments between those in-person sessions. So that's the first thing that you can do, is start by transitioning from just purely sell lesson packs to a hybrid model of combination of the two. Get your current clients on that and set them up on a reoccurring plan that is monthly based on the level of access and number of sessions that they do get inside of that. And that's where you introduce some of these online elements, start to get them used to receiving coaching outside of that 1 hour lesson. You can then offer them as well beta pricing, and you can do this as a launch online. Initially, to launch your virtual coaching experience, your online coaching, you can do a beta launch with a sort of discounted pricing, which is really just like the first price that you're willing to take on the first 5 to 10 clients at, and then we can increase from there as demand grows. Then we really want to focus on how this is a benefit to clients, not a negative. So we don't want the value proposition to be off here and comparing this to in-person experiences. Instead, we simply focus on all the positives of having a virtual coaching experience in which they can engage with you outside of the 1 hour lesson, and how many positive things that are going to happen in their game because of that, because of the regular communication, the regular feedback, the regular tweaks and adjustments to their plan, where then they can actually improve. The second step is understanding the tech behind it, because people get overwhelmed with thinking about building all of these things. The first thing that I want to say here is don't build a website. You don't need a website. It's a waste of time to put energy and money into building a website right now. You only need social media and an ability to take payment and an ability to communicate with your clients and send them feedback. That is it. That is all you need to start doing a great job of coaching clients online. And this is what the best understand, is that they don't get bogged down with tech and trying to build these perfect things and perfect systems, or build an entire website that looks beautiful, because websites, honestly, today don't work all that well. Instead, you want landing pages and funnels, and we can just turn your social media profiles into a landing page and a funnel. So really all that you need some sort of software to do video analysis. This can be Skillest, Sneed, V1, Coach Now, OnForm, Golf Live app. Doesn't really matter. Pick the one that you like and use that. You need a way to communicate with your clients. That can be through one of those apps, or it can be Telegram, WhatsApp, text message, email. You need a way to communicate with your clients that they'll actually use. You need a way to take payment. It's very easy, if you have a business set up, to just create a Stripe account. Payment links, boom, you're in. People know how they're comfortable with Stripe. They've paid through Stripe before, and they will pay you for your services through a simple payment link on Stripe. You need a way to schedule. I use Calendly. It's a very simple one. There's other services out there. You need an online scheduler. And then eventually, you don't even need this right away, you need a place that can host videos you can give to clients when they need that resource, right? So if we're working on a specific drill or correction, then we do want to be able to send them what that looks like, so they can actually practice what you're hoping that or what you're teaching them to practice, right? It's very simple. And honestly, you could start with YouTube. Have unlisted videos on YouTube that you send to clients when they need a specific resource, or to show them how to do something that you're working on. The step 3 is we need to understand a pricing model that works and that will facilitate you actually making the money that you want to make. The first thing to start with is premium one-on-one coaching. So these packages can range from $200 to $1,000 a month to work with you as their coach, with some amount of access to you, which is in the form of video analysis, lessons, which is the typical case online. And you can include some sort of live experience as well if you want to, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever that might be. But start with Premium 101. That's the fastest way to get a return on your effort and energy, and start working with clients and sell at a high level. Then after we're established there, we have 10, 15, 20 one-on-one clients, we can transition into a group coaching model. And then only after that, when you have built a bit of an audience, a bit of a list, and you're successful with client transformations in one-on-one and group coaching, then you can look into building a membership site. Do not start with a membership site. It requires the highest amount of traffic and volume, and it has the highest level of churn, and you will make the least amount of money from starting in that direction. Start on the high end, one-on-one, work your way backwards over time. If you start in the reverse order, not a lot I can do to help you. You're just not going to make that much money per unit of effort online. So step 4 after that is we need to understand client acquisition. How do you actually get clients online? There's 3 methods, but the 2 that I'm going to talk about here, content creation and paid ads. So you need to understand how to make content that does 3 things: gets reach, nurtures people to eventually desiring to buy from you, and then ultimately gets them to buy, right? Reach, nurture, conversion. We need all 3, or you won't get sales from social media. If you are just trying to create videos that go viral, which is what most coaches do, you will potentially build an audience, or you won't, which a lot of coaches don't do a great job of this, so they don't even build an audience. But if you just do reach and you are successful in that, you will build an audience, but they won't ultimately buy from you. And we need an audience that buys. So think about social media in the reverse order of the way most people think about it. It is not, the goal of social media is not, I build a massive audience and then I make money. It is the reverse. It's I begin with the end in mind. I am building an audience to sell them my services and products. So I start there. So I use social media as a business asset. It is business media, not social media. And I'm doing it with the purpose of getting clients, right? And through the process of getting clients, I deliver value. And just thinking about it psychologically in that way. So from the very beginning, no matter how big your audience is, you should be regularly making offers to take the next step. Then we layer in paid ads. So once we find a simple strategy that works even decently well through organic social media, we do simple paid advertising on that same platform to just amplify what we're doing through organic. And one of the simplest ways to start is just retargeting your current following and warm leads, right? So this is it. Like, this is the simple process. If you take these 4 steps and you learn how to do them effectively, and you just commit to the process of doing the same thing every single week and every single day, you will gain attention, you will have conversations with prospects, and you will have opportunities to pitch them on what you do as a service. The biggest thing that I'll impart with you in this is, if you are creating content and you're trying to get clients online and it's just not working right now, you're probably not doing calls to action enough, you're probably not making offers enough, and you don't understand how to take people from social media to having the next conversation about how they should work with you. And that's a vital step in this process. And then getting to 30K, 50K, 100K a month, it is doing it one time. So it's getting your first client at $200 a month, and then doing that again, then doing it again, then doing it again, doing more of it, doing it better, and just refining the thing that worked. And typically what works to get the first client is the same thing that will work to get the 50th client. You just get better at it over time. So we produce content, we leverage paid ads to get attention, to start conversations. Conversations lead to calls and sales. Sales obviously become clients. We keep clients by doing a great job. Get your first client, do the same thing that you just did to get the first client, to get the next one, then do more of it to get the 5th one, then refine, optimize, add scale to that until we're at the point where we can be making 30, 50, 100K per month. Now you might be wondering, well, how does this make sense at 30K a month? Like, how am I actually going to be making that? The thing is, as you get better at this, as you build your audience, you have more demand for your services, you demonstrate the results that the first 1, 5, 10 clients got while working with you, guess what? Your prices go up. This is the natural order of supply and demand, and this is how it works. This is how business works. When you're better at what you do, when you produce better results, when you have more people interested in your services, you can increase the price. And it's always this, we always want more demand than we have supply. And when that is the case, we have a great business and we will never be short on clients. But at first, you don't have that much demand. So you're just trying to get your first 2 or 3 clients or 5 clients. Just get that first one, deliver amazing results, post about it all over social media. Every time it's a snowball effect. I get 1 client, I share the results, I get my 2nd client. I share both results, I get my 3rd and 4th client. I share all of their results, I get my 5th, 6th, 7th client. I share all of their results, and it compounds and snowballs over time. While I'm doing that, I'm producing content, getting new followers into my audience. I'm having regular conversations. I'm consistently offering them the next step, and we keep going and growing from there. A big mistake in this process too would be starting with the wrong pricing model. And instead of starting with one-on-one higher ticket coaching, you think that the best way to compete is to commoditize your services and charge a very cheap price. Now, there's logic in starting cheap and increasing your prices over time. But if you start too cheap and try to compete on price, you will be seen as a commodity, and you will not be seen as the authority or the expert or positioned in that way online. So I tell most of the coaches that I work with not to start below $200 a month. If you're charging less than, this is US dollar, if you're charging less than that right now, you are underselling your services online, just flat out. There are plenty of people that will pay at least that amount of money. If you have people on $50, $100, $150 a month, and they are getting this all access communication system with you, this is another recipe for burnout. You are not accurately charging for what you offer and what the market will pay. And because of that, you're going to be running around like a hamster on a wheel, just like you were in person. I guess the one benefit is that you get to be really busy from your couch or your desk instead of on the lesson tee, but you need to appropriately charge. If you need to start low and build up over time, that's okay, but set the targets ahead of time. When I get to 5, I'm going to increase to this. When I get to 10, I'm going up to this. When I get to 20, I'm going up to this. And make sure that as demand grows, you limit supply and you increase price to match that growth in demand. Because it would not be worth it to have 200 clients at $50 a month. You are just going to be running around, trying to facilitate this experience for a bunch of people who aren't paying you very much money and probably are demanding a lot of you, and it's just ultimately not going to be worth it. So if you found this video helpful and you do want to take your business to the next level, you want to know how to implement these steps step by step over a 90-day period, and you're just interested in more details on how the system works and how this all works, well, just check either the description below or the button below this video and book in a demo call. We will go over exactly how the system works. I'm happy to share everything on that call. And if it's a good fit to work together, I'll show you what that looks like too, and we can have a conversation. If not, and you just want to take this video and run with it, that's amazing too. But either way, I hope this was valuable, and I'll see you on the next one.